There's a famous Turkish novelist called Sait Fait Abasiyanik, who says everything starts when you love a person. This is a great saying, but let's change that a bit and say everything starts when you understand that a person can have different opinions. Think of all the problems in this society: the polarization, the hatred, the racism, the quality of education. What causes all these? Of course, there are dozens of reasons. But I think the most basic reason for this is our failure in accepting that there may be different ideas. This actually has a name. It's called theory of mind in psychology. There is a really simple experiment carried out on kids that I will get into details in a bit. But let's first define the theory of mind, what it is or what the theory of mind is not. The most basic definition of theory of mind, free of terms, is this: understanding that other people think differently. It's not just being aware of other people's existence and intentions. Theory of mind is also a prerequisite for empathy. It can also be called mind reading. A warrior needs to have a theory of mind to better predict what his enemy will do. The trader to set a price for the buyer. The hunter to compete with the other hunters. Thinking about what others think, know, believe, or desire is an important part of being human. So, why is it called a theory? It's actually simple, because we only can speculate other people's ideas. We can have a theory. We have no way of knowing directly. Our judgments about people are based on their behavior, our prior knowledge of them, their personalities, and our inferences. So we can't know for sure. We can't know anyone. I mentioned at the beginning why this theory is vital. But in terms of development, the emergence of the theory is the most important stage of a person. Let's take children, for example. If you pay attention to children under the age of 3, you can see that they are highly egocentric. They live unaware of the thoughts, feelings, and moods of others. It seems pretty cool when you think about it. Wish we could also live like that, right? But as we grow up, we get involved in the society, and if we fail to establish theory of mind one way or another, that's where the problems begin. Because this theory helps us understand what's going on inside people's heads. This is how we can understand the intentions, beliefs, hopes, fears of others. You know, social relations can be very difficult, and because of misunderstandings, families, marriages, relationships between parents and children can be destroyed. So when do we develop this ability? According to many sources, this skill begins to develop especially between the age of 3 and 5, but it continues to develop into adolescence and even into early adulthood. But there are also other factors that affect this. For example, it has been observed that this develops faster in a child who has an older brother or sister. Interesting, right? But the most important factors in its development are the social relationships that the child establishes, the games they play with their parents or friends, or the stories they read. Of course, this skill is formed in a certain sequence with some stages. For example, the child first begins to understand the reasons why people have other wishes. Then they realize that different people can have different opinions on the same subject. Then they see that people may not know something is true. Then they realize people can have false beliefs about the world. Finally, people may have hidden feelings or react differently to the same event in different emotional states. So, this looks easy. With a couple of steps, we know a person has the theory of mind, and we can have a society filled with people capable of empathy. But that's not the case. The lack of this theory in the society is staggering. But how do we know? How do we measure this? How do we know if this skill is developed or not? There are several scales related to this, but the most used are false belief tests. The purpose of these tests is to understand what others do or think about a subject they know. So children may not know something is true, but if they have a false sense of belief, they may understand that others may not be aware of it. It's complicated, right? I know. So let me clarify with a very strange experiment. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called the Sally N tests. Families can also apply this test to their children at home. Let's watch a 42-month-old boy first.
This is Anne and this is Sally. And this is Sally and Anne's basket and box. And one day, Sally and Ann were playing with a block in their house. And then Sally decided to put the block in the box. And then she decided to go outside and play where she couldn't see or hear anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ann, that tricky Ann, decided to take the block and put it in the basket. Now, since Sally is outside, did she see Ann move the block? No, she didn't, did she?
No.
So when Sally comes inside, where will she think the block is? She'll think it's in there. Why will she think it's in there? Because it's in there. Okay.
What you see here is very strange. It doesn't make sense. But we can say that the theory of mind has not yet been fully formed for this child. Anyways, now let's watch a 52-month-old boy.
Bye, Sally. Well, that tricky Ann, guess what she did?
She took it out of the box.
She took the block and put it in the basket. Now, did Sally see Ann move the block?
Because she was outside.
That's right.
Swinging.
That's right. She didn't see. So when Sally comes back in, where will she think the block is?
In there, but it's not. It's in there.
So she'll think it's in the box.
Yeah,
Why do you think she'll think that?
Because she put it there.
The boy you see here has come a long way. So, this experiment also tells us a lot. This period lies at the root of all the social problems we experience in the adulthood. And it gives us an idea about the problems of people in prisons. By the way, let's talk about those who have problems with this skill. In other words, when there are neurological or physical and sometimes psychological problems in the development process of this skill, problems arise. For example, the presence or absence of this skill is decisive in the diagnosis of autism. This is where it differs from Down syndrome. Children with Down syndrome develop this skill and even perform at the same level as a child who doesn't have this problem. In other words, 80% of the children with or without Down syndrome who were subjected to this experiment were successful. But only 20% of the children with autism were successful. On the other hand, serious problems have emerged in this skill in patients with schizophrenia. These patients have serious difficulties in understanding false beliefs, that is, perceiving the real and the unreal, and understanding the intentions of others. Again, as I said at the beginning, the formation of the theory of mind in humans is very critical in terms of understanding ourselves first and then others. Accepting that there are different perspectives and understanding them also helps people to make an internal accounting, let's say, to know themselves better. In this way, most importantly, it contributes to the formation of a self-awareness and a strong feeling of self. Our social relationships are also based on the power of this skill. Thinking about what other people think will give us a perspective we were never aware of before. And according to many psychologists, this skill is at a very high level in people who are successful in business, academy, and social life. As I said before, empathy is the most valuable quality a person can have. Let's not stop trying to understand others and ourselves and being understanding. Until next time, see you.